Okay, the 2016 NAPLAN Year 7 calculator paper, question 1. Grace is 16 years old and Mark is 5 years more than twice Grace's age. How old is Mark? So we're just going to build this one up. So Grace is 16 and Mark is 5 years more than twice Grace's age. So twice Grace's age is 16 times 2, which is 32. And 5 years more than that, so 5 years more than Grace's age is 5 more than 32, which is 37. So the answer for question 1 is 37 and circled. Question 2, when keeping horses, 1 hectare of land is recommended for every 2 horses. And how many hectares of land would be needed for 8 horses? So just looking at this one here. So we need 1 hectare of land for every 2 horses. And we need to see how many hectares are needed for 8 horses. So how do we go from 2 to 4? So 2 to 8. So 2 times 4 is 8. So 2 times 4 is 8. So therefore 1 times 4. 1 times 4 means that we need 4 hectares of land for the 8 horses, which is that first response there. Nathan is making a pattern with black and white tiles, and we can see here we've got 3 black tiles and with all these other white tiles here. So here's design 1, and design 2 seems to have, so design 1 I've put a red box around it. Now if we look at design 2, it appears that it's got 1 box, 2 boxes around it, but they do appear to be put reflected. So we've got 1, 2, 3 black, and then the 3 black come down again, 1, 2, 3. And then when we have 3 designs, we've got 1, and that second one goes backwards, 2, 3. And then we have the 4th design, and we've got 1, etc. 2, there's the 3rd one, and here is the 4th one. Okay, so just having a look at how many black tiles we've got. So for design 1 we have 3 black tiles. For design 2, which is this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 3 lots of 2, we have 6 black tiles. For design 3 we have 3 lots of 3 black tiles, which is 9 black tiles. Design 4 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 black tiles in each one, times 4, which is 12 black tiles. So if the pattern continues, how many black tiles will there be in design 10? Well, design 10 will have 3 times 10, which is 30 black tiles. And so we can circle 30 black tiles in design 10. Okay, question 4. Jane makes necklaces using beads, and she has 345 beads in 23 different colours. She has the same number of beads in each colour, so how many beads does she have of each colour? So there are 23 different colours and there are the same number of beads of each colour, so we see how many 23s go into 345. So the number of beads of each colour will be 345 divided by 23, which is 15 beads of each colour. You can see 15 beads there. Tammy left her house at 8:35 in the morning, and so at this time here, and did not return until 4:45 p.m. in the afternoon. Now, morning is a.m. and she did not return until 4:45 p.m. So the question is, how long was Tammy away from her house? So I've put some times in here. So if we go from 8:35 till 12:35, so that's, we don't count 8, we go 9:35, 10:35, 11:35, 12:35. That's 4 hours just there. And from 12:35 to 4:35, we don't count 12:35, we go 1:35, 2:35, 3:35, 4:35. That's another 4 hours there. And from 4:35 to 4:55, we've got 10 minutes. So we can show it like that. So we have 4 hours here, 4 hours there, and 10 minutes, and that gives us a total time of 8 hours. So 4 hours plus 4 hours plus 10 minutes is 8 hours, 10 minutes. There is another way you can do this. So that's just adding on whole hours first and then adding on the minutes last. Another way you can do this is you can break it up as follows. So, sorry, 1 minute. Instead of going from 8:35, and some people will jump straight from 8:35 to 4:35 and count that as 4 hours. Another way you can go is go to the nearest hour. So from 8:35 till 9, because that's the next hour, and then from 9 till 12, because that gets you till noon, and then from 12 till 4, and then 4 till 4:45. This bit here would be 25 minutes, and we've got 3 hours, 4 hours, and 45 minutes. So that is another way you can do it. So 25 minutes there, 3 hours here, 4 hours there, and 45 minutes there. And then you need to add these together. So we've got 7 hours, the 4 and 3 makes 7 hours. And with the minutes, we've got 25 and 45 makes 70 minutes. But we know that there is 60 minutes in an hour. So that's 8 hours and 10 minutes. So that just shows you two different methods of doing this question. Scientist is studying mice. Which unit would be most appropriate to record the mass of a mouse? Now, litres is used to record volume, okay, or capacity. Millimeters, that is like what's on your ruler. It's got millimeters and centimeters. So that records length. Grams, that records mass. And kilograms also records mass. But remember, a mouse is quite small. Maybe it's even, maybe the size of a very small apple or something like that. So that would be in grams. So the mass of the mouse would be in grams. Okay, question 7. Lucas is playing a game with the spinner shown here, and he will win if the arrow stops in a blue section. So we've got one blue section here and another blue section there. There's only 2 blue sections. However, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sections altogether. So just looking here, the total sections is 8. And he will win if he lands on blue, and the number of blue sections is 2, so the probability of winning is 2 out of 8, or 2 over 8, and that can simplify if you divide both the numerator and the denominator both by 2, so 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 8 divided by 2 is 4, so 2 over 8 is the same as 1/4. Okay, now for question 8, Mike had 4 cups of rice and he used half a cup of rice for one recipe and 1 1/4 cups of rice for another. And the question is, how many cups of rice did Mike have left? Now we can do this either diagrammatically, this way, or we can use fractions and add and subtract fractions. That's the other method. So let's say he has these 4 cups of rice. Now I'm cutting each circle represents 1 cup of rice, and I've cut each cup or circle into quarters because we have quarters here and we have halves there. So if he uses half a cup of rice for one recipe and 1 1/4 for another, I'm going to do the 1 1/4 first. So there's my 1 cup used and my quarter. That's also used, so 1 1/4 cups for one recipe, and we use half a cup for another, so I'm just going to take out half a cup here. So it appears that I've got 1 full cup, 2 full cups, and 1/4 left. So that's 2 1/4 cups of rice left. Now that's a pretty easy way of doing it that way. The other way you can do it is adding and subtracting fractions. So let's see what he used. He used half a cup and 1 1/4 cups. Now, that means we've got 1 whole cup, and we know that half plus 1/4 is 3/4. So he's used 1 3/4. And so what is remaining is cups used is a half plus 1 1/4, which is 1 3/4, and the amount left is 4 minus 1 3/4. So if you've got 4 and you take away 1 whole and you take away 3/4, you'll still be left with 2 1/4 cups. You can see you haven't used 2 cups, so you've used less than 2 cups. So we're using less than 2 cups, so there'll still be more than 2 cups left. So the 2 cups and that quarter left. Okay, question 9, the graph shows the origin, which means where the car came from, and type of all vehicles in a town, and we've got passenger cars. So they're just ordinary cars. And we've got the four-wheel drives, and we've got commercial vehicles. Now they're vehicles that are used for work and things like that. And if it's the darker shading, like here, that you're Australian, and the middle shading, the medium shading, are European vehicles, and the lightest shading is Asian vehicles. And we have to choose the most accurate statement based on the graphs. And it says there are more four-wheel drives than passenger cars. And look, you can clearly see, yes, we've got the same amount of Asian vehicles, but there are more passenger vehicles than four-wheel drives there, and also more than that here. I mean, you can just see that that one is not true by just looking at it, because the heights of these three columns are greater than those altogether. And it says commercial vehicles are the most common type of vehicles. Well, that would mean that the commercial vehicles heights, if you added them together, would have to be greater than everything else, and they're not. Okay, you've obviously got more passenger vehicles than commercial vehicles, so this is not true. Okay, then it says there are more Asian vehicles than European vehicles. So Asian is the light colored, and European are the medium, that medium shading. So we might just add those up to have a look at what we've got. So just moving the graph up a little bit. And then the last statement, there are more Australian vehicles, Australian, which is the darkest shading, than European, which is the medium shading. That one is obviously not true. There are not more Australian than European. That's pretty obvious when you just look at the graph. All right. So the Australian one we don't really need. We need to see whether there are more Asian than European. So Asian, the lightest one, let's just add them up. We've got 6. Now remember, these are 600s. That's in hundreds. So we're just going to go 6 plus 6 plus 5 is 17. But that really is 1700. Okay. Sorry, 1700, 1700. And European vehicles, if we just add the heights of those, we've got 8 plus 5 plus 3, which is 16, but that really represents 1600. And the Australian one, actually, if we added those heights, the 8 represents 800, because you need to look at the scale on the graph. It says number of vehicles in hundreds. So therefore, there are more Asian than European vehicles, and that looks to be correct. Yes, there are. So that's the third response there, that there are more Asian vehicles than European ones. Mary had 1 kilogram of cheese, and she used 1/4 of a kilogram for sandwiches. And which of these shows how much cheese she had left? So 1 kilogram minus 1/4 of a kilogram, that's just like one whole circle minus 1/4 leaves you 3/4 of a circle, so 3/4 of a kilogram. So 1 kilogram minus 1/4 of a kilogram is 3/4 of a kilogram. Now 3/4 is 3 divided by 4, which you should know that 3/4 is 0.75. So the fraction 3/4 is 0.75. You should also know that the fraction 1/4 is 0.25, and that the fraction of a half is 0.5. They're common fractions that you need to know. Question 11. This tile has equal side lengths, so each length of this tile is 3.5 centimeters. And the 4 of these tiles, 1, 2, 3, 4, so 4 of these tiles are joined together to make a larger shape as shown. And the question is to find the perimeter of the larger shape. Now there are a few ways we can do this. I think the easiest way would be to count all the sides first of the last shape. Now I'm going to put a little marker on this one so that I know that I started counting the sides on this shape. So let's count. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So the final shape, the larger shape, has 14 sides, and the length of each of these sides is 3.5 centimeters. So we have that the larger shape has 14 sides, and so the perimeter will be 3.5 times 14, which is 49 centimeters. What you definitely do not do is you can say, like, you would not do, well, this shape has 5 sides, 3.5 times 5, whatever answer you get for that. I'll just do that now. So I've got 3.5 times 5 is 17.5, and then if you multiply that by 4, you will end up getting double ups on these sides here that are dotted. So you do not work out the perimeter of one tile and then multiply it by 4, otherwise you will count some edges twice. Okay, it is best to count the number of edges in the larger shape and then multiply that by 3.5.